Okay, so start us off then on the management side. What are some of the qualities, skills and attributes of being in a management role?
Organised.
Being organised, okay. Yeah?
Focused.
Sorry?
Being focused.
Focused. What else?
We talked about getting the job done, so being able to go through processes.
Yeah? Process, absolutely.
Prioritise.
Prioritising, okay. What else shows we're in management mode, or people are in management mode?
Task driven.
Task driven, okay. Any other thoughts on that?
Compliance or ability to comply.
Okay, yeah. That could be compliance in two ways, couldn't it? It could be compliance to certain rules, regulations and laws, but compliance, as we spoke before, the difference between commitment and compliance. Very often also in, excuse me a moment Stephen, in management mode we're into things like planning and effective time management and motivating people, aren't we, and things like that. Stephen, you were going to say?
Well, maybe looking at the book, The Five Temptations, that the management side of it might choose the harmony side rather than look towards the conflict.
Okay.
Because they want to get the job done, they want everyone to be happy and things like that. So rather than going through the inspiring and looking for different ideas from different people and things like that, they just might want to sit at the desk, right, we're going to go through this process, we've got a meeting to do, we'll get the meeting done, then we'll crack on with what else we've got.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move into leadership then. What shows leadership more than management?
Innovation.
Innovation. Yeah.
Vision.
Vision.
Motivation.
Okay, motivation, although I did mention it for the management side as well. I think that probably sits between the two, definitely.
Strategic planning.
Okay, strategy.
Engaging.
In what sense? How do you mean by engaging, Fiona?
I think if the leader hasn't got any followers, then they're not a leader.
I get you, right,
so
yeah.
you've got to get people on board
Yes.
with you, so you've got to engage that.
Yes, yeah, okay.
That's the commitment bit, isn't it, really?
I suppose it is, yeah, we can put that in brackets there, couldn't we, commitment? Yeah. Any others?
Under the same thing, I think, inspiring
Okay.
the staff within the team so that they want to provide that commitment.
Yes.
Adaptable.
Okay. That's only because you reported on that in your before, isn't it? It's a good leadership skill, absolutely. Adaptable.
Yeah.
Respectable. Credible.
Okay, yeah, respect. Credible. Any others? I'm sure that under each one, given enough time, we could have many more there. Now, as we look at those two lists there of management versus leadership, are they mutually exclusive? Why not?
Because there is a massive crossover.
There's a massive crossover.
Massive.
Yeah, and we are forced, I suppose is the right word, but in the positions that we are in, we don't have the luxury of one or the other. Richard Branson might have the luxury of sitting here more of the time.
Yes.
But there's not many that are in that position. We have to mix and match the two, don't we? Because certainly we have to do all of these to make things happen more of the time. To do the day-to-day, which sometimes is fine, and sometimes, even for any of us, it can be drudgery sometimes, can't it? But that's life, we have to get that. And yet we have to also show leadership. Now, thinking for yourself, and I want you, each of you think now, just for yourself for the moment, what would you say is your split, day to day, average, normal, between management and leadership? For example, are you spending 90% there and 10 there, or 20 there and 80 there, or whatever? What would you guess is your average split?
70-30.
70-30. More time in management than leadership, okay?
I shouldn't,
Yeah.
but I do.
No, okay, we'll come back to that one. Dion, for you, what would you say?
I would say about 80-20.
80-20 again. Yeah, okay. Stephen?
80-20.
80-20?
I would agree 80-20.
Yeah?
Yeah, I probably agree.
They're about the same, yeah. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to stand here and say to you, there is an ideal split, because there isn't. However, I want you to think now, you've said what your split is, and you said probably shouldn't. What do you think for you, in your role, a better or a more effective split might be? In other words, if you change that from 80-20 to 50-50, what impact would greater leadership have for you in your role? What would you say, Anna?
Yeah, I think that it should be pretty much the other way around, because there are people in the building who can do the management for me,
Yeah,
and I could be spending my time on the leadership. It's going to really make the difference
yeah.
with the children, with the school, but it's letting go of the control.
I was just going to
of the management that I
say,
know.
what is it that stops you letting go of that
Because
now?
I'm good at it.
Yeah, and not only are you good at it, you like
It's
it.
easy.
It helps you repeat the past.
Mm-hmm.
We are wired as human beings to repeat the past because we equate that with success.
Yeah, yeah. So when I've got jobs to do on my desk, the management ones are easier and nicer,
Yeah,
and I choose to do them over the leadership ones.
because that might be
Because they're
difficult, harder,
Mm-hmm.
might not get a nice outcome that I
And I've got
want.
to put my neck on the line, yeah.
Yeah,
Leadership stepping outside your comfort
It
zone.
is.
yes it is. More of the time at least anyway, more of the time, that's right. What else difference might it make for you, Stephen, if you spent more time in the leadership?
Yeah, it's almost like a subliminal delegation, isn't it?
It is.
You know, by leadership you delegate, and management you make decisions.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would like that balance to be
Yeah.
more 50-50
Yeah.
really, but it's chicken and egg again. I guess it's in the timeline that I'm at where management does have to come first.
of course, yeah.
And it has to be structured.
And the key to this also is, it's not, right, I'll move to 50-50 and it stays that way. It's to say, what are the situations when I need it to be 50-50 or perhaps 20-80, and then an hour later you might be back into this all the time.
Yeah.
That's the key to this. No one, as I said, perhaps aside from Branson, no one sits over here 100% of the time.
Yeah.
We need to think sometimes, like you were saying there, I mean, doing that, whilst it is important, is not going to move anything or anybody forward. You have people to do that, And I would argue that Fiona would say, and Zoe, we don't pay you to be an administrator. That's not the best use of your skills. I always say to people, when you find yourself doing this sort of work, constantly ask yourself, is this a good use of my time at the amount it costs this business to run me? And if the answer is no, start thinking about over here. Because, as an organisation, you don't pay deputy heads to do admin. Generally.
I think that's the distinction though, because we've changed management to admin now.
Fair
And
point,
there's
yes,
there's
a fair
big
point,
gap
yeah,
between
yeah,
that. So a lot
yeah.
of the time is, if you look at the left-hand side, because we're now in really lean organisations, so managers have to be leaders effectively, because there aren't the people to delegate to. So if you're thinking about spending 70%, 80% of my time on the management things, the first thing is, decide on those admin or management. So what are you doing that you don't need to be doing?
Yeah.
What are you keeping hold of that you shouldn't be doing, that you should be delegating? When you've been honest about that, and there will be still a huge residue of management things you need to do, one way to look at this, think, right, if I want to do more leadership, how can I, because as Dave said, they're not mutually exclusive,
No.
how can I be a leader as a manager? Yeah, because unless you are Branson, you turn around and say, right, I'm going to go and take myself off and be the strategist, and you guys are going to implement it.
Mm.
And it's a bit like you were saying, Stephen, when you look into the future, as you were doing with Bill, and thinking about who we're going to bring on board as directors, then you can afford to say, Bill can look and say, well, I just want to be the visionary, and you can be my MD, and we'll bring other people in that
Yeah.
will do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
So think about it. If it's task-driven, how inspiring can I be at this task? Because the task has got to be done. So how can I inspire the heads to come along, or the people that are working for me? So what are you hiding behind them by doing that? And actually stopping you coming out of your comfort zone and using the left-hand column as an excuse, when actually the left-hand column can be the springboard for doing those things.
The other thing that the left-hand column can be, if we're thinking about the two together, is, in our role as a leader, how can I build my people around me to do those more, better? That's not to say that we're doing them perfectly. In fact, we must think, in building people, can I get Dion to do something over here that she does far better than I ever did? That's when you're really a leader. So that's how you can bring the two together and think, in developing people, if I can get them to do more of those, notwithstanding they'll never go away, we're not in that luxury of this column all of the time, that's when you're really growing people. And think, and that's what the gaining in insight is the beginning of. What do I know about the people around me that I can use their best skills? And maybe it's to do some of this, maybe it's building people to be on this side as well. It's not that you don't want to build more leadership in people, but by and large we should be thinking more of the time, what do I need to do as a leader or in leadership mode that will move things forward? Now if you look at the middle of the page, as leaders, as we say there, we strive for results. And results are driven by actions, the actions that we do. But how we act is driven by who we are. And I use Stephen's sales as an example here. Very often you go into an organisation or a business and they say, oh, we need more sales, we need more sales. Tell you what, we'll go out and do more activity. Action. Different, more action. They say different action, but actually they just go and do more of the same action.
Yeah.
And it's a form of insanity to expect different results by carrying on doing the same things. And how many of us, and I don't want you to put your hand up here, how many of us have thought, it's difficult that, I'll do that tomorrow. It'll be different after half term. I'll do it when we go back from holiday. I'll have a word with them then. I'll change it. No. We've all done it, and we're not saying we haven't done it because we have. It's a form of insanity to expect different results by carrying on doing the same things.
Just like sending out the same football team, giving them the same tactics,
And expect them
losing
to,
week after week, and hoping that suddenly all of a sudden we'll win.
And practice makes permanent. They just get good at losing. So, look over the page. The first step, as it says at the top, in becoming a more effective leader is to better understand yourself. You know, what is your purpose? What are your principles? So, where it says personal values, just think for a few minutes now and answer those first two questions. How would members of your team describe you? How would your boss describe you? In your best guess. Just think that for yourself individually for the moment, then we'll get some feedback.
As if you brought Kit Kats.